All right, welcome to my FX Buddies, the podcast. And I say podcast because there's other forms of media in which you can get this information. My favorite is the blog, and the blog is parked at myfxbuddies.blogspot.com. And that's a lot to remember. So what I do on all the sites where I post, in the info, intro, introduction, more, some button of that nature, you can hit that and a box opens and it has a link directly to the blog, the free blog. Okay, so Rumble, RSS.com, all of that, my FX buddies. I'm rushing through this because this is a heavy information day. Not bad. I don't mean bad. Just lots of dots that have to be connected. Okay? So we're going to do that. YouTube, everything that I share is covered under the Fair Use Disclaimer Act because it's for sharing, critiquing, teaching, commenting. All right. Spotify.com has audio and video content. And same thing there. Whatever their little button is that you click it, and then there'll be a link to the blog. And I even put it all together so it's going to flow good. All right. So let's get into it because I think this is possibly a next step. So maybe a step that we weren't aware that had to happen, but whatever. Okay, so here we go. Iraq's oil money and the US dollar. What you need to know. Oh, that's the little title for whatever. So the article, see, I turned that off. Whatever. The majority, so this is the actual headline for the article. And I'm talking a little low because it's a little late here where I am. All right. The majority of Iraq's financial assets are in US dollars. Did you hear that? Majority of Iraq's financial assets are in US dollars. Sudani's advisor discusses linking Iraqi banks to US banks. So it says banks. We already know there's at least one connected. So this is probably going to happen through May. Because remember, over the weekend, it was announced they're going to open a bank here in America. And it said another bank. Remember? So this, it was probably on TV. So in this article, it's going to say it was a press release. But this is Mohammed Salih talking, and we know they let him announce pretty serious things, right? So, advisor to Prime Minister Mohammed Salih spoke about the repercussions of linking Iraqi banks to American banks. Now, are repercussions always bad? I don't know. As long as Iraq is within the dollar zone. Can I get in the dollar zone? Anyway, like the other OPEC countries, with the US dollar constituting the majority of its financial assets from oil revenues, it is in Iraq's interest, right? He's saying our country, but his country is Iraq, to deal equally with the US commercial banking system as a global correspondent power for national banks, especially when dealing with more than one US bank operating globally, probably Chase, right? Chase and Citibank are the two that we hear about. And isn't it interesting? Oh my gosh, isn't it interesting? They're not putting the bank names. Okay, so a global bank that has major global branches and arms, he said. Okay. He pointed out the Central Bank of Iraq's efforts to link national banks with major banks and financial institutions in the United States with more than one bank that enjoys international standing is an important means of providing economic stability and improving the investment, trade, and development climate in Iraq through integration. Ding, ding, ding. There's that word. Integration with the dollar trade, banking, and investment zone, which remains one of the strongest and most important monetary zones in the world. Woo! Yeah, I know. I told you I love my country and I love the dollar. You know, I don't love the dollar. I don't put comments. The love of money is the root of all evil. Yes, I know. I mean, I love that we are the reserve currency. Now, look, I didn't blow this up. Oops, I don't like to say that. I didn't make this font this size. This is how it is on the website. So they wanted to emphasize this paragraph. All right. So Saleh stressed that reducing the cost of foreign banking transactions requires direct banking cooperation with more than one global bank, American, and then in parentheses it says global, and that the Central Bank of Iraq is moving in the right, open, and rapid direction in assessing its priorities to serve the stability of the national economy at the level of foreign banking transactions and implementing them with the required speed and high guarantees. So he pointed out that the second American bank is responsible for providing opportunities for Iraqi banks as a global correspondent bank with multiple branches and operations to quickly implement banking operations, whether in transfers or financing foreign trade for Iraq's markets, without obstacles and with transparency and high governance. In addition, it provides financing and credit lines for trade and investment in Iraq, as well as benefiting from digital banking services and highly advanced international standards, which will bring Iraq's national banks to the required global level. And I think we need to get, or they need to get most of their banks to that level. That seems to be their goal anyway, right? These are factors that encourage the investment and business climate in our country at the same time in the midst of integration and cooperation with the international banking system. So you see, that's pretty deep. And this is on their TV and in their news for the citizens to see. Now, it wasn't like plastered all over everywhere, but it was in three of the larger, heavier visited websites. Okay? All right. So, yeah. So, will we hear more about that? I don't know. But I think that's a major announcement. I think it's a new phase, next step, whatever. And I think it's good. All right. Plus, remember, Fuad Hussein is here. Well, at the time of this, article posting, he was still here. All right. Now, this is interesting also. Due to the drop in oil prices, the Iraqi government is considering canceling the 2025 budget. I mean, they may as well, right? Here we are. It's April 3rd. Okay. Yeah. But today's gone. It's almost midnight. So we're in May, then June. Then we're halfway through the year. They still haven't posted the budget, still haven't released monies. So, but it's tied to those other 2 years. So can they do that? Who knows? And then I hate this. The source. They're not telling us who the source is. But an Iraqi cabinet source said on Wednesday the government is considering canceling the 2025 budget due to the drop in oil prices, which has increased the country's fiscal deficit. And if they release the budget schedules, they'll have to show the deficit, right? Right now, they can still deny there is one. Okay? Council of Ministers did not formally discuss the budget schedules in its previous sessions, and Minister Sammy, Finance Minister Sammy, informed the Council of Ministers there's a large deficit in the budget schedules. And she should know, she's the finance minister. Under current conditions, there will be no budget this year due to the decline in oil prices, which has directly impacted financial revenues and increased the deficit. So that's the source. That's not Sammy saying that. That's the source. The source explained that if the budget is canceled, Minister Sammy may issue a decision to release bonuses and promotions for state employees that were halted and delayed due to the budget. Now keep this on the right side of your brain, okay? Right here in the front, because we're gonna get it. Okay, we can skip that. And Jamal Cougar, so they're talking about the price of oil. We know oil's down right now. It's probably gonna stay down. Now, this is something. After the Treasury went bankrupt. Okay, that's what I'm saying. You're going to want to go to the blog and read this. It's not a rumor, but it's not the country filing bankruptcy. Okay, and let's keep reading. After the Treasury went bankrupt, the government withdraws contractors' deposits to pay salaries. And if you're anyone who's ever had, what do they say? More month than money. You're probably familiar with robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's what that says to me. They robbing Peter to pay Paul. Which means what? There's liquidity crisis. There's deficit. They're not using money from the budget, right? This article says a whole lot without saying it, right? The Iraqi government has decided to use funds held by contractors and companies to pay salaries of state employees for April and May, a controversial move that could open the door to significant legal and financial repercussions in the future. So don't panic. I know that it may sound bad, but I think this is a good thing. It's stress. It shows they need to do something. They need to make a move, right? They're in a sticky situation and they have a move to make. Whoever's holding them up, just needs to let them make that move. So don't panic. This isn't, it's bad for them, possibly, right? But it could be good for them to have the rate changed, right? Okay, according to informed sources, these funds originally belonged to companies and contractors as part of their financial dues frozen in trust accounts, meaning that resorting to them could expose the state to lawsuits. What's more striking is that the same account currently being used to cover salaries is the same one previously linked to the theft of the Century case. Remember that? Remember they were all on TV. Sudani gave a speech and they had stacks and stacks and stacks of dinar around him. Yeah, so sources indicate that the amount currently being used is close to the same amount that was subject of the previous scandal, raising widespread questions about the transparency of public finance management and the lack of radical reforms to the financial system. Okay, so this is a memo that's in Arabic, but I was able to translate it. And based on what was presented by the Minister of Finance during a cabinet meeting on April 14th, in their regular meeting, only 3 trillion, okay, this big number here, the words are here in dinars, right? Only that amount was used to finance and pay salaries of April and subsequent months deposited in Ministry of Finance account at the Central Bank of Iraq. So that account was bankrupt. That treasury account was bankrupt. So they took the money, and I don't even think whatever money they took wasn't all the money that's in that account. So they could pay these salaries, right? So they're being transparent. Maybe they're being forced to be, but they're saying, hey, this is what we're doing, right? Which it will deposit later according to the need for the total state, provided that the cash settlement is made monthly when requested by reversing the amounts of deposits from the actual revenues collected monthly when conducting tax accounting. All right? And also this money that's deposited are less than 5 years old. Okay, so now here's another article. So tap that right side of your brain and get that, what I told you to remember, right? It was what? It was about paying bonuses and salaries. With a document, parliamentary demands to release bonuses and promotions without relying on the budget. They're like, hey, we were promised some money. Promotions are promoted. You get promoted, you get a new salary, right? It's the same thing here. It means the same thing for them. We don't care about your budget issues. We want our money. So here, from disbursement authority, whoever that is, right? So to your honorable, to the honorable Prime Minister, disbursement authority. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of God be upon you. Now, give us our money. No, but anyway, so it references that letter, the previous document I showed you, which includes the suspension of the transfer of services, calculation of certificates, services, and other rights of employees in order to limit expenditures until the approval of the tables of the 2025 budget law. Right, okay. So, hold that thought. We kindly request you to issue a decision to release all employee entitlements, including bonuses, promotions, calculation of certificate services, and transfers between state institutions. So, how I read this, it's saying, okay, the budget's delayed, but we know over here you got money, and you can use that money to pay these things we've been promised. Will you do it? And I believe they have. I believe they did. So that here's the document. So how this title says, with a document, there it is. And I was able to translate it. So it says, please review and inform us with appreciation. So you know that's something. Talk about counting people's pockets. Is that what they say? Counting people's pockets or something like that. So I don't know. You know, they're in a situation. I like that. I'm not sure where Aaliyah Locke is. I know we're gonna see in a minute where Fuad Hussein is, but I think Aaliyah Locke may be back in Iraq. But anyway, okay, so now to make matters worse, Parliament wants to know why Sudani's government has begun withdrawing tax funds to pay salaries. You know them. They always got to complain. You didn't tell us you were going to do that, right? But here, the pessimistic economists, right? Nabil Marsumi, he took it to Facebook. He published a document on Facebook revealing the new government decision based on that same meeting, that same docket, or that's what I call it. The same 5-year-old money. There's that big number. So he was going to make sure. Oh, yes, because let me see if I have this up. I'm not going to say they're trying to hide that, but they put it on this obscure website. Let's see. Earlier in the day, oh, it's gone. More news has come by, but I wanted to show you. It only had 130 views. So this is that website that I show you guys. It posts. Oh wait. Oh no, same picture, but that poll, which they still have up. So yeah. So this is a website I frequent. Um, do you guys know about this? Read this. I don't think they're talking about it too much in our news. Oh, okay. Iraq concerned about escalating tensions between India and Pakistan. They're like, yeah, nuke me and I'll nuke you back. They're having that discussion, and I don't think people are talking about it. Okay, anyway, sorry I got distracted, but I just wanted to show you. See, it's almost a whole day. This was posted on 10 days ago, and it still doesn't even have 700 views. So that article that I was reading you that says the Treasury account is bankrupt was posted here. So I think that's why Nabil Marsumi was like, "Oh, you trying to hide this information, huh?" Well, Facebook, and he may have put it on Twitter too, or X. Let's see, withdrawal of tax funds, and I mean it is other people's money, but they probably weren't expecting to get that money because it was tied to that case, right? Yeah. So anyway, something different. You never know with Iraq what you're gonna get. So just closing out that whole subject, right? We're going to be done with that subject. Withdrawing these funds by the Ministry of Finance may prompt these companies, the companies whose money it is, to take legal action to withdraw these funds or a portion of them in the coming period. All right, so now we're 23 minutes in, so I'm going to rush through this. All of this is more things that Fuad Hussein did while he was here. More meetings, see, security, economic fields. Let's see, right? So if I had more time, I would like to go through that, but I don't. Fuad Hussein, we are making every effort to bring viewpoints closer together and begin resuming Kurdistan's oil. They're saying that they've lost $10 billion just so far this year. Okay, so he spoke at a small press conference, right, for Kurdistan. He did meet with the Treasury. You see that there? So he took care of some business, and let me tell you how we know he took care of some business. Here's the best sentence out of that article. He continued, "We are in the process of activating all existing relations between Washington and Baghdad at all levels." That's good. We need some activation, right? And he also indicated Iraq is now stable and secure, and you feel that Iraq has reached a stage of stability. All right, here again, it's another article. He says Iraq is committed to preserving its national sovereignty. So you can read that. I don't know why that picture is there. Now, Fuad Hussein arrives in Oman. He left America and went to Oman. You don't think he doesn't have messages to tell? Oman is the mediator of the U.S.-Iran talks, right? So he didn't go to Baghdad first. He went to Oman first. And then here, tied together with that, the fourth round of the talks is Saturday in Rome. All right. Well, that's what they say. But we put more sanctions on not the whole country of Iran, but more entities and people. And that's the last article at the end. There's my one commercial. Buy me a copy, or you could cash at me. Thank you to those who have. I got my very first super thanks. I'm so excited. So thank you. All right. Now here's a nice article. The Kurdish region says no obstacles from our side to resuming oil exports. Good progress in talks with Baghdad. So see, noting that losses have exceeded $10 billion. So they're like, hey, we did everything. Y'all need to come on with it because we losing money. Big money, right? So you can read that if you like. And then pair that with oil being below $70, Iraqis fear stifling economic and financial repercussions. I know they do, but like I said in yesterday's edition, they're not in the streets. They're not even, no one's even organizing, saying, hey, we demand payment. So something is keeping them appeased, right? Alrighty. And let me see, is there anything new in this? Well, here, Iraqis' hopes are now pinned on the rise and fall of oil prices, which is a cause for concern. But I fully believe they've been told the rate's going to change, they're going to get new money. I believe that, even though we haven't seen it in writing, right? So, even with these articles coming out, this is what they have to say because this is the current situation, right? So, in government, you can't say, well, yeah, this is what is now, but over here in 2 weeks, we're going to do this, right? Because you never know. Something can happen or someone can say something to the media, right? That can just blow up plans. Oh, I gotta stop saying that. But so, yeah, they keep posting these articles, but then again, we don't hear the people, we don't hear about the citizens complaining unless there's someone who has boots on the ground that can tell me different. All right, and so this was pretty big news today too. Baker Hughes. God bless Texas. Baker Hughes is in Texas, right? They met, a delegation from Baker Hughes met with Sudani. And he said the government has worked to improve the business environment to attract companies. And if you read this, it's basically saying they got rid of red tape. We're safe and secure. Bring your people in and get to working. And they have some phases and which fields they're going to be working on. So that's good. Okay, we're almost done. Now this is interesting. The Kurdish region officially publicly criticizes Iraq's trade bank over delays to ATM rollout and bank cards. So, and it says the issue can no longer be overlooked. This is the trade bank, and this is the My Account program that the employees are supposed to sign up with, and instead of getting paid directly, their money goes into that account. Then they can pull it out of the ATMs. Well, looky here. They had pledged to install 100 ATMs. Remember that? That was late last year. They haven't done it. And there's been 40,000 requests from employees that have not been honored. So now they're suing. They're like, see, we did everything we're supposed to, and you didn't do it. All right, this is the last article, I believe. Yep. So here, and I'm not really even going to read it, but because I already said it. New U.S. sanctions on the other country that starts with an I to limit funding for its nuclear programs. So yeah, so it was a big, heavy, right? That's heavy information that normally I wouldn't care about. But like I said, oh, and the if you missed yesterday's episode, it will be pasted, whatever, embedded at the end, at the bottom. So yeah, I like what I saw, you know, but we'll see. So tomorrow's a holiday. It's May 1st. It's like May Day. It's like a worker appreciation day or something. And then Friday is their holy day. So I think it's going to be quiet. And then Saturday will be the talks. So if I don't post, it's because there's nothing really to post. However, maybe that'll give me time to finally do that project one. But whatever, yeah, wherever you're listening, guess what? If you like, share, subscribe, join, follow, when I do post, you'll be notified if all things work like they're supposed to, right? Okay. Also, accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals and pay all your bills. Thank you to the people also who have expressed you like the timeline. Um, I pretty much have it streamlined, so it's not that much work to do. I just have to remember to do it. All right. So thank you for listening. I appreciate everyone. Well, mostly everyone. Okay. And yeah. All right. Enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you're enjoying this content. And until next time.